Hello, Tim from Fairplay Now on the 10th of March 2022. I was just driving down the road today on the way to a job when I passed the local petrol station, and of course, as you'll know, the prices of that particular substance is rocketing up, and I was shocked to see that it's up to £1.75 a litre at my local place. I think that was for diesel, which goes into my vehicle. Petrol might be slightly cheaper still. But when you consider it wasn't long ago, only 3 or 4 months ago, that it was about £1.25. Just before that silly fuel crisis, probably about £1.25, something like that. So it has gone up by about 50p a litre, or sort of in percentage terms, almost sort of 30-40%, about a third, in a very short order. And it's all to do with inflation. There's all sorts of other things going up as well, sort of energy prices for heating your home and food prices and all sorts of things. And I know people are going to blame it on the conflict and various other factors, the lurgy and all the rest of it, but I'll give you one thing that you might not have thought about, and which I think is equally as likely an explanation, bearing in mind just how corrupt and evil the powers that shouldn't be are, and how they love money, how they want as much of it as possible, and how they want you to have as little of it as possible. And I think what it is we all know that a lot of people have actually not done too badly out of the lurgy thing over the last 2 years. Yeah, I know there's plenty of people who have suffered financially a great deal. They've lost jobs, they've lost pensions, they've lost businesses, etc. But there are a lot of other people who haven't done too badly out of it. Mainly, I'd say, employed office workers, those sort of people, especially in the public sector, but even in the private sector. I remember doing a job for a guy about a year ago, and he was saying how I think he was a civil servant, I think he said he was, working in central London, and he lives around where I do in Sussex, and he said that he used to have to sort of go up to London every day. He's now working from home, and he's saving £500 a month just on his train fares. And when you also consider he probably hasn't been going on any sort of fancy international holidays, he hasn't been eating out or drinking out, or doing nearly as much shopping, probably because of the various lockdowns. And yeah, all adds up. I'm sort of saving £500 a month for 2 years. That's about 12 grand. And then when you sort of think of all those other things he hasn't been spending money on as well, he's probably about 20 grand better off. And I think there's a lot of people in that situation whose savings have swelled greatly. And of course, the government and the powers that shouldn't be know this, and they are sort of looking at these people and this cash that they're sitting on, and they want a slice of the action, thank you very much. So what better way to manufacture a crisis to give a brilliant excuse to drive the prices up, which then gets some of this money out of people's pockets and back into the pockets of the powers that shouldn't be, and into the coffers of corrupt governments. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is part of what's going on, because after all, inflation is nothing more than legalised theft. That's what I think it is. It's a way that the powers that shouldn't be can steal from your savings, and yeah, that's really what's going on there. And I've seen reports that inflation could hit 8% in this country, in the UK, in the coming months, and that is a heck of a lot. And it means if you've got 100 quid and it's 8% and it continues to be 8% for 10 years, that means that £100 is going to reduce in spending power by 80% over that 10-year period. Well, it's even worse than that because you've got compounding on top of that, but we'll forget about that because that just makes it more complicated. But your £100 now will only have the spending power of £20 in 10 years' time. And whereas now you might be able to sort of go out for a meal for two, quite a nice meal with a bottle of fairly decent plonk for £100. Well, in 10 years' time, that £100 you'll be lucky to get fish and chips for two with a couple of cans of Stella. That's kind of what the spending power will be if this rate of inflation increases. And it erodes savings, and it erodes, everything that you've been working for over many, many years to get your pension to a decent level, to get your savings to a half decent level where you've got a bit of a nest egg there. And yeah, it is just state-sponsored theft as far as I'm concerned. And I think it is a way to get money out of people, these people who have been fortunate enough to save a lot of money over the last couple of years. So I wouldn't be surprised, if that is sort of what is going on, or partly what is going on here. And just to go back to inflation, I haven't seen these levels of inflation since the 70s. I'm just about old enough to remember the 70s. I was a kid, but I do remember my parents going on about it, sort of worrying about money and how prices were going up. Oh, prices are going up again, oh, that's gone up again, this has gone up again. I remember all that, and I remember it with just silly little things, just a silly little example. I remember in 1972, when I was 8 years old, I could get a packet of crisps with my pocket money, and it cost 2.5p. You could get a packet of crisps for 2.5p in 1972, and by the end of the 70s, or say 1980, I think that had shot up to, probably about 15, 20p for a packet of crisps. So it really did shoot up a great deal. And that's just one tiny little example. And yeah, it seems like the era of high inflation is back with us. And I just wonder why. It's not like, people can't sort of control these things. And, you just have to ask yourself the question, are the powers that shouldn't be trying to nick the money that these people have been able to gain over the last couple of years? Interesting thought there, I thought. Just something that I'm thinking about, and wonder what you think. Leave a comment in the comment section below, sort of down there, and I'll be interested in seeing what your take is on this whole inflation thing. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. Tim from Fair Play Now. Thanks for watching.